Welcome to the Firehouse, the show dedicated to the brave men and women who serve our community.
Firehouse on WRHU 88.7. I am your host, Chris Moses, and sitting with me in the Firehouse today is Jessica Ellerbe. Now, I'm not going to go into who you are and what you are and all that you've done. I'm going to let you do that, okay? So for the listeners, tell them who you are and what you've done and just all the amazingness of Jessica.
Okay. My name is Jessica Ellerbe. I'm an ex-chief from Uniondale Fire Department. I just got out of the chief's office. I'm a fire alarm dispatcher. I'm a CPR instructor. I'm a firefighter, EMT. I do a lot of different things to serve my community, and that's basically me in a nutshell.
You tried to do it really quick, but let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
Let's back up a little bit. All right. So let's first start. All right. So we know, and I know a lot about you, but you know the listeners don't. So we know you're in Uniondale, but tell me from the beginning, like what made you want to even become a firefighter? Like I said this before in the show, like we're running this way and everyone's running this way. What makes you say, you know what, one day I want to wake up and I want to run into burning buildings? Like what makes you do that?
Well, my dad was a member of Uniondale Fire Department truck company.
Okay.
And so when he was a member, I joined the junior firefighters when I was 13. So from 13 to 18, I was a junior. So I got a lot of the training and experience from there. And that's when I decided, okay, I think I like this. This is fun.
Okay.
But let's see as an adult member if, this is really for me. So when I joined as an EMS member of Company 1, emergency company. And I wanted to do EMS first. So this way I can, become an EMT, be the best EMT, and then transfer over to fire when I'm ready. So I did that in a year. And then after that, I was in the rescue company of Company 1. Okay. So going on calls and being able to switch back and forth from the ambulance to the rescue truck was really fun. We have 2 ambulances and 1 rescue truck. So there's a lot of mixing up when you get to a call, like, hey, you want to drive the ambulance back? Okay. Even though I was just on the rescue truck? Okay, no problem. Let me take my gear off. So it was a really cool experience. It's outside of like what I would normally be doing. So besides school and like going to just do regular things with family. So it's just something that just gave me a boost, and I really like it. I like to help my community and help people. So it's very fulfilling, and I like it.
All right. So time-wise, because you said you were in the juniors first, right?
Yes.
So you're in the juniors and then you move over. So time-wise, what's the number that you've been in the fire services? How long? How long has it been?
So including the juniors?
Let's include, well.
I never include the juniors. Really,
all right, so let's, but that does kind of count. Right? It really should. Like, I had Eric Turner on here and he put that in there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he did that. So this is time that you've learned, that you've done stuff. So I would add that in there.
Okay, so if juniors was 5 years, and right now I think I'm walking into, I think I'm in year 12. Wow. So 12 plus 5 is 17.
So 17 years.
Yeah, about 17
years.
Yeah.
Wow, you see how fast it goes? Like you're looking like, wow, 17 years have passed that fast.
Yeah, and even around it longer, because when my dad was a member, I was younger than 13. So
okay, and you were still around,
running around.
Fine. So you were almost born into this, knowing that. So that's dope. I love to hear that. All right, so let's keep going here, because 17 years, I know you got some stories for me. I know you got some stories for me.
Of course.
Right? And I know before this, you was like, wait, I'm not sure which ones or whatever, but I know you got some stories for me, whether it's fire, whether it's EMS. So you tell me some good stories that the listeners would want to know about EMS or fire.
Okay. Well, when I was in EMS, I think one of the most exciting or craziest stories that we had is we were driving down Uniondale Avenue. I think this was in about 2014 maybe. And we were driving down Uniondale Avenue. There's a couple of us on the bus because we went to go get food.
Okay.
So we go, we pull up we get right by the corner by where the Dominican restaurant is.
Okay.
And we were going to go back to Van Ness. So we were heading up north. And we see these police officers like running around in circles. And we're like, what are they doing? So we look over and they were like, get over here. We get over there. There's a guy that got stabbed like right in between his eye and his nose. And there was blood just shooting out. But it wasn't just stabbed. It was like they dragged the knife down his face and like opened up his mouth. Here. So we couldn't even tell, like his lips split open. So we couldn't even tell like where his like mouth was to breathe. So that was one of the craziest calls we
I
had
can
because
imagine.
we were all, most of us, I mean, the only most experienced person was the driver. So then us in the back, he didn't know it was that bad. He just saw the blood. So we're like, oh, we got the blood. We didn't realize.
This is nothing.
Yeah, there was so much blood that we didn't realize like how bad it was until we got into the back of the ambulance. And I'm like, oh my God, we don't even, do we know what we're doing here? So
think about this though. Like this, just talking about that situation, like how is that from, we're going out, granted, we're in the rig, so we know anything can happen, but we're going out to go get food. And then this just pops up and then you jump right into action.
Yeah.
Like it takes a certain type of person to do that and be able to just like, all right, I got to start to perform. Like how did that feel in that moment from going from literally 0 to 100? Like,
it feels like, I guess right when that's happening where you're trying to figure it out, there's a lot of confusion and then there's other people there with you. So it's not just you being confused, it's a couple of people being confused. So communication is key for all of this. So the first communication that needed to happen was the police officers were telling the driver to stop. Just pull over here. So we made the left and we were right in front of the Dominican restaurant. The guy was sitting on the ground. So we're just like, okay. So, we picked him up. They're trying to find the person that stabbed him. And we're like, wait, we can't get out the bus. Like, are you guys good?
Yeah,
that's the first thing we need to do is like scene safety. So we're like, all right, are you guys secure? Do you know what this person is? And they're like, yeah, he ran that way, but you guys can just grab this guy. So we're like, all right, we made sure we were secure. They bring him into the bus, and then we're like pouring like saline, trying to figure out like what exactly, how bad is this? So once we figured it out, we're like, okay, we had somebody that was an EMT critical care technician at Van Ness. Okay. So what we did was we tried to like give him oxygen as the best way that we could, and
because how do you even?
Yeah, we had to use a BVM. Okay. So a back valve mask. Yeah. Because that was the only way. So when we were on our way up north, that EMT critical care, he crossed the street and we stopped and he hopped on and then we kept going. And because he was right there. The driver called him on the way. So it's a lot of communication, a lot of moving parts. So I guess the feeling in that moment is oh my God feeling. Yeah. But we're trained to do this and we know what tools we have, and that's the main thing is that you have to know what's in your toolbox before this happens. That's right. So this way when it does happen, equipment. Yeah. So I mean, some of us were confident. Some of us we had a person that was on the bus that was about maybe 2 months in of being an EMT. Imagine imagine that being your first real experience.
Because you also have to do what you got to do, and then also worry about this person that's 2 months. Yes, exactly. They're probably like this, like
and then you may not even remember that person is 2 months.
You're like, do this, and they're like,
but that's the one. That's the thing that is the eye-opening part is remembering who's on your team at that moment. So it's not really the emergency. It's okay, I know what my resources are. Everything's stocked and good because we wouldn't have taken the ambulance in the first place. Yeah. Then, all right, what's everybody's job going to be and who's playing point? So that's really the big part of it.
That's so dope. Yeah. It's so dope. And it's crazy because some, especially volunteer firefighters, they're usually only on one side, right? Yes. So you're either in your truck and you don't really see much of the EMS side and things like that. So I can imagine, like you said, bouncing back and forth, doing this, doing that. It's a lot. And it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to learn and a lot to know and have stored up there. So kudos to you. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it.
You could.
Maybe trying.
In the future.
Maybe in the future. I doubt it. I gotta be honest. All right, so let's talk about you being chief.
Okay.
The first most important thing is that, just so if no one knows, but she was the first Black female chief in Uniondale. First ever. She literally made history. Just so everybody knows. So a round of applause for that, just so everyone knows. She literally made history. So one thing that I usually ask some of the guests is, walk me through a day, right? Okay. Sunday, but it's different for a chief, right? Because chiefs, I'm worried about one company, and this is what I got to do here. You're looking at the entire big picture. So walk me through a Sunday for a chief.
A Sunday, okay.
A Sunday for a chief.
Okay, did I work the night before or not? Because it's different. So for a Sunday morning for a chief, the most sufficient way or more efficient way to run your day as a chief is to wake up early. Okay. So or have your stuff ready the night before. So if I knew that I was working the night before a Sunday, I would set up or write down whatever I need to do for the morning in the office the night before. So I make my notes to put it in my iPad, and then in the morning I know when I wake up I go get my coffee or hot chocolate depending on how I feel.
Yeah.
And then
depending if you worked the night before or not.
Exactly. And then head over, but be earlier than everybody else.
Okay.
So this way you have a chance to get your desk the way that you want it. Make sure there's gas in the car. Make sure that, you know, everything that you need for yourself is situated before everybody else wakes up.
That's right.
So everybody gets to training at 9 a.m. on Sundays. So I would be there maybe like 8:30, just to situate everything before everybody gets there. And situating just means have my list of things, make sure I have my reminders for whatever I need to tell the firefighters for the day or the officers for the day. Be prepared if they're bringing a new member over to meet us. So I have my questions ready to go, or if they need something from the secretaries, we'll make sure that I leave the note for the secretaries so we're ready for the day. So preparing, make sure the copy machine has paper because everybody comes to make copies. What they're making copies of, I don't know. But that's the day that we lose all the paper.
But you know what's so crazy? That's something that no one thinks about. Like, that's important, see? And that's why the chief is the chief, because you're thinking of the big picture. But keep going.
But that's a big thing. If there's no paper in the copy machine,
everyone's
your whole
pissed.
day is ruined. Yes, exactly. So, and that's the day they come in with their complaints and their requests, and the officers come in and they tell us, you know, what's going on, what happened during the week, and if there was no chiefs on a call in particular, well, this is what happened when I went on this call. We had to call the marshals, or we had to call buildings or something, and they come and give us an update. So that's kind of like how it starts. You prepare yourself for every single company, every single company. So when 9 o'clock hits, it depends on what your level is. Are you second assistant chief, first assistant chief of department? So second assistant chief, you want to talk about any house-related items. So anything that's going on with the lounges, with the with ordering like cups and plates and things. So we have that second assistant chief go around to the firehouses or make phone calls. Hey, what do you need? What do you need? And try to get a list for everybody. Even though we usually get individual requests, we get a list saying, okay, is there anything that you didn't get yet? And things like that. First assistant chief is the chief of training and the chief of the apparatus gear. So that person would go around, okay, what's everybody doing for training today? And try to show up to their trainings. Okay. So we try not to stay in the office for the entire day. If we need to meet the 3 chiefs, we'll sit there until like 10 a.m. and then we branch out.
And then you start going out.
Yes, we start going out. So it doesn't stay in the office all day, but the secretary will stay. So if anybody has any questions, they can ask the secretary. If the secretary doesn't know the answer, they'll call one of the chiefs. So that's kind of how that works. And you just branch out for the day and then regroup at the end. And we let each other know, like, hey, I got to go to work. I got to go home. I got to go baby shower. I got to go to church with my mom. You know, it depends.
Which a lot of people don't realize, especially our listeners, some of them may not know, you know, everyone's volunteer. So we have our own lives as well, right?
Exactly.
So as you're doing all of this in the morning, you may have to go to work after this. Or like you said, the baby shower or this, or go to church or do whatever you got to do. So it becomes, a lot, but you've handled it. Right? And just so you know, you start at second. So all what you're talking about, you did at second, then you did it at first. And then as the chief, you just kind of watch and make sure everyone is in place and make sure everything is going the correct way. It is a heavy crown to wear.
And that's just a Sunday. So
that's just a Sunday that nothing is going wrong, right? Because I can imagine when other things are going wrong, because you're dealing with how many people are in Uniondale Fire Department. You're dealing with all these personalities. It's a lot.
At the most, I think during my time as chief, I think the most membership we had was about 125 members. So it's a lot of people. And lately we've been doing a lot of training. So, I mean, we always do training, but lately we've been doing a lot more group training. So we've been branching out. We did a multi-drill at Nassau Community College last month. And that was excellent. We were able to use fake smoke to smoke out 3 floors at Nassau Community College. When's the last time you heard that?
When's the last time you did that? Yeah,
exactly.
Wow.
So we coordinated that, and we brought everybody together. We had different agencies there. We had field communications from Nassau County, where I work. And we have
low plug right there. This is where I work. I need y'all help right now.
Exactly. And it was great. I mean, working with my own coworkers, it was really cool. That's dope. And you had the fire marshals, you had the hazmat team, the drone unit came. The drone unit came and they taped some of the area for us to like see what we were doing, how we responded in, and then gave us a USB so that we can watch how everybody responded in. So this way we can use it as a pre-plan to get ready to do what we need to do.
And that's
Excellent.
something I hope people that are listening in other departments, did you see how she was able to pull all of that out? I'm pretty sure Jessica wouldn't have a problem with that. You reaching out, y'all know who she is. They're on Facebook, whatever.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
if you're not, you see how many resources she was able to pull out for that training. I'm pretty sure that's not just available to Uniondale. Like
to everyone. And they're more than willing to do it. And that was the best part of it. We even had other departments. This time we had East Meadow and we had Merrick Fire Department.
Wow.
They came in as like, as a realistically.
Mutual aid.
Yeah, realistically, if there's a serious situation at Nassau Community College, I mean, we're having a lot of units. We only had a few because it was like basically technically a mini drill. So when we do a bigger drill, we're going to do bigger drills as we move forward to really, put us in the right perspective of how things can actually happen and try to make it as realistic as possible. So that's what, we're doing. And we take the feedback from the members. We take the feedback from like Nassau Community College Public Safety. Wow. We take the feedback from them too.
Yep. See, it's all about, and that's one thing we always gotta, realize. It's all about preparation when it comes to the fire department.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen. So you prepare for every aspect of what can happen.
Exactly.
So that muscle memory kicks in and you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we're very lucky that the Board of Fire Commissioners provides the, refreshments for us afterwards. We get personnel.
Gotta get some food. Gotta
exactly.
get something to drink.
We get personnel from the district. So we have the fire prevention officer. He comes in and helps us to do training.
That's great.
Fire prevention officer Stafford. We have EMS supervisor Louis Rodriguez.
Okay.
So he comes in and does what we would normally do in a daytime experience. This is what's really going to happen during the week.
You go.
And then we also have district guys, I'll just say Soto because we know firefighter Soto. Firefighter Soto fills up the bottles when we're done because we actually need somebody to fill up bottles.
That need to be done. What if you get a call right after this?
Yeah,
we need that.
Exactly.
So these are all pieces, but again, this is what the chief does. The chief is looking at all those pictures. As everybody goes back home and does this or do whatever, you're looking at every single picture to make sure it's put together. So I got a question for you.
Okay.
Especially in the fire department, everyone knows it's male driven, male dominant. How does that play for you, right? You said you have 17 years, which is a good amount of time, but I'm pretty sure there's people that have 20 years, 30 years that are still in and still active, right? So how do you deal with being a female, right, in this male-driven area, then dealing with the 30-year, 40-year member? Like, how are you able to do it? You are an ex-chief, so that means you've done it, right?
Yeah.
So kudos to you because you've already done it. So
thank you.
I guess the question I want to know, and I'm pretty sure the listeners want to know, is how did you do it? Like how
did I interact
without going crazy? Because you're still here smiling.
Oh yeah.
For my
I only
listeners.
got one gray hair after all this. I'll show it to you when we're done.
These grays all came from me just being captain, so I don't even know how you did that. But go ahead.
So I think walking into this, I kind of knew like how it was gonna go. You were there for one of my first company interviews, and that went interesting.
That was fun.
So yeah, it was good. But it's walking into these situations like. I know some people may be opposed to it, and because it's different. I'm different. I'm different, like not only through the department, but through the entire county. You know what I mean? I'm different. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. So what I felt like I needed to do was like just really use my mentors, like the people that, I was working with before I was in the chief's office. Okay. And, also accepting more mentorship as I got into the chief's office, but really leaning on the people that I had before to help me, try to work my way into it because I don't think like a man. I think like a girl, you know what I mean? Or I think like a woman. So, so I don't really think like that sometimes. So sometimes I need people to translate to me. Like you can say hello to me, but the way you say hello to me may sound different to a man. You know what I mean? The man said, hey, watch out for that guy. The way he said hello to you, I didn't like that. Yeah. Like that's, I wouldn't know because I just don't know, Yeah.
So, no, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
that's so crazy. That's something that I never
Because while I'm in the hair salon, you're in the barbershop.
There you go.
And that's a whole different experience. My uncles have owned barbershops, so I know it's a different, hey, cover your ears for this part. I understand. Right. So it's a different experience. But what I can tell you is that, like, I kind of had an understanding before I walked in there. My dad gives me notes. My dad gives me a lot of support and explains to me, like, hey, you know what? Make sure that, just sit back for a little bit and just pay attention because that's what men do. And I'm like, oh, you mean I can't play with my Barbies anymore? Yeah, it's interesting. But the way that I got through it is to make sure that I'm direct. I don't, I'm not going to give you emotion before I give you my decision.
Okay.
And I really don't give my emotion or how I'm feeling in certain situations because it's irrelevant, honestly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we're going into fires and stuff like that, you have to be able to trust me.
That's right.
So I want you to trust me and know that, like, I can do, not only can I do what you can do, but I can be a supportive person for you if you need that, whether it be physically in a fire or whether it be like mentally. So I know when you're drained and I know when you're physically drained because I'm also an EMT, right? So I mean, it becomes helpful at times, but working with the more difficult people, I think it didn't really happen that often. I'm not gonna lie, because the people that like weren't really for it, they just didn't talk to me.
Wow.
So I mean, but sometimes it's easier that way because that's also
because you don't have to.
That's also a level, exactly, but that's also a level of respect too. It's just like, you know what?
I'm not gonna say nothing because I don't want to say anything, so I'm just not gonna say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
All
it's
right,
like a certain level of respect, even though it doesn't seem like it. It is, but just let them know that I was just letting them know, like, I'm here, and as I increased in my position, like as I went from second assistant to first assistant to chief of department, there was personality changes as I went up. Yep. And the respect that people had for me went up because they see that I'm about business. I'm not here to like play around and be friends. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm here to do the job because that job was very respected when I was younger. I'm like, whoa,
wow, that's the chief.
What happens behind that door? That's great. And they slammed the door closed and all kinds of stuff were happening. I'm like, wow.
Now, was you slamming that door?
Maybe a couple of times, a couple of times, maybe here and there. But I think working with the guys was interesting because it was just like it's almost like a graduation when you're welcomed into the group. At first, there were certain circles that I wasn't really welcomed into, but I was okay with it because I understand. And, sometimes guys need their space. You don't need me to be on top of you. Yep. So I'm just like, hey, when you get to this fire, do your job. You're an engine person. When you get there, what do you want me to do with this hose? Well, what's in your training? Yeah, what do you think you're supposed to do? Exactly. You want me to do it for you? So, but not like that. But one of the experiences I should have brought up is when we went to a fire outside of our district. Okay. So we went to so basically this department was called out, and then we ended up getting called for a full department response. Okay. Right. So this was the my biggest test as a chief. Was this fire? Okay. Was literally this fire, right? Okay. And I was on the ramp already.
Just really quick, let's rewind.
Oh, sorry.
The call comes in. I know you're like, this is it.
Oh man,
I can imagine like the feeling, like holy, this is it.
So technically,
everyone's watching.
Exactly. I was on the ramp. At truck because we just got finished all complaining about something. So we were just sitting there, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I'm sitting in the car, and I'm sitting in the chief's car, and I'm listening to this call go out. Right. So I hear it go out. But I'm thinking it's just a fire. So I'm like, oh, they'll call us in a few minutes. Like I'll just, get myself mentally prepared, throw the address on my phone. So this way, I'm ready. I'm ready to respond. So because I know if they call an engine, Brookside's going to be behind me. And if Brookside's behind me, I got to know this address ahead of time. I can't be playing around making lefts and rights because Brookside like gets out, moving, get this little cheese car out of my way, like they don't even care. So, but respectfully, but so I'm always like a little bit more prepared when it's Brookside. I'm not gonna lie, because the engine, I feel like I don't know what kind of engine that those engines have, but they pick up quick. They move. They pick up quick. Where like I think the ladders have more weight. Or like the rescue truck has like way more weight.
I mean, we have the weight because the water.
Yeah.
That water.
Yeah.
But that water hurts when it's time to stop.
Yes, exactly. Not go. And that I have in my mind, right? And if I'm in front of you in this little car, I gotta have my address ready to go. That's right. Right. And with the ladders, there's more weight, so it takes them a little bit longer to not that much longer, but it takes them a little bit longer to pick up. Yeah. So I'm so used to driving in front of the ladder because that's my company that when I get in front of the engine, I look in the rear view, I'm like, oh my God, they're right there. Ex-Captain Turner. So when I when this call came over, I'm listening to it. I'm like, okay, let me throw the address in. All right, I'm just gonna sit here. I'll wait till there's a couple of guys. Maybe I'll get on the truck, if they need another person, or I'll stay in my car, depending. So I'm looking at the group chat, trying to see who's on the way, right? Yeah. So I'm like, all right, next thing you know, Uniondale full department response. I'm like, full department response? Why? I don't even know what's going on because my radio was on. I had like 4 radios on, so I missed it. I didn't hear like what it was. And then I see on my phone, I look at the group chat because gotta look at the group chat, tell you everything. Group chat's like, that's where it is. So I look at it. It says people trapped and, trying to get somebody out. So I take off. The commissioner's cell phones were definitely beeping and ringing, going over a certain
You're like,
mileage.
let's go.
Exactly. So I'm like, whatever, I'll talk about it later.
There you go. I got to get there. I got
off.
a job to do.
And that's
like
and those are my two rules. I decided that when I became chief is that the only how I would go to another department's fire, like before I'm even called, or like I'll just take off, is if there's somebody trapped, right? And maybe I can help somehow because I have gear in my car, or if somebody's struggling on the radio, because that's what I do. So I'm like, if somebody's struggling on the radio and like, they need help, or say it's a lieutenant or a captain or somebody that doesn't really have experience on the radio, and they're struggling at their fire, I'll go there and offer help.
And help.
Yeah, because I know, that's what I do.
That's great, because
so
a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just want to make fun instead of go help.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
We're all learning. We all don't know sometimes.
And it's really important. If you have a skill, to do, then you should be offering.
Who's the best person but a dispatcher?
Right? Exactly.
To help me say the right
and then
things.
just hand it over when somebody gets there, no problem. So those are my tools before I.
Hey Firehouse family, it's your host Chris Moses. I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation. We had so much fun and such a great conversation that we decided to make this into 2 parts. So this is going to be the end of part 1. Please tune in within the next week for part 2 of our interview with Chief Jessica Ellerbe from the Uniondale Fire Department. Thank you.
Join in the festivities as Chief Anthony Capone and the Valley Stream Fire Department hosts the Nassau County Firefighters Parade in conjunction with Engine Company 4's remarkable milestone of 100 years. On Friday, June 21st, indulge in delicious food and refreshing beverages provided by Paul Evans Catering and live music by Crucify. On Saturday, June 22nd, grab a chair and witness the Valley Stream Fire Department host the Nassau County Firefighters Parade, starting at Rockaway Parkway and Wheeler Avenue, and ending at the Village Green with children's amusements, food and beverage, and a live performance by Decadia. Celebrate WRHU, the greatest show on earth.